I think most kids daydream about being rich one day. I don't think most kids daydream about being, poor one day. I think they have that dream. The only problem is how to do it, because there's not an education program for it. So unless you're raised in a wealthy family, you'll never really know the true way of how to create success financially. So I did what most kids did. And I said, okay, well, I can't sing, I can't dance, I can't play an instrument, I can't act. There's already one white rapper from Michigan named Eminem, so that's out. Thankfully, as I was a freshman at GRCC and I was working at Woodland Mall one day a week, I was introduced to the topic of entrepreneurship. And I remember being absolutely baffled that it existed. Because I thought back to my 7th grade life skills class where they made a list of 100 things you could be when you grew up. And you could be a this and a that and a this and a that. But a successful businessman wasn't one of them. Entrepreneur wasn't one of them. It was just different careers that you could have, and none of them appealed to me at all. So I checked the other box and I wrote pro baseball player. And I remember thinking, man, I wonder what would happen if they taught entrepreneurship to kids. What would happen if they taught it down at the lower levels? But I was grateful that I found it at age 18. So I got started in the industry of direct selling as a part-time entrepreneur, and didn't have success at it at all, but I had many mentors, and I had an individual independent drive. I think all entrepreneurs have one thing in common, no matter what they do, is they're extremely driven. There's no such thing as a lazy entrepreneur or a lazy successful entrepreneur. That doesn't exist, right? So I was very driven, and I learned the craft. I'm currently 36 years old, so it's been half of my life has been dedicated to entrepreneurship. Now, on this journey of being, successful individually, I think every entrepreneur that makes it then begins to think about how they made it and who had the impact or the certain turning points in their life, aka a mentor. And we then look back and go, well, how can we begin to mentor others? Because again, there's not an education program for entrepreneurs to learn how to be entrepreneurs. So you can't go to school to learn it. So if you're going to create a next generation of entrepreneurs, you have to become a mentor. And my wife and I made the decision a few years ago to take $1 million personally and create a foundation by the name of Next Gen, which stands for Next Generation Entrepreneurs. Because it is exactly what I wanted to provide for the void that I had growing up, that system that didn't exist of education of entrepreneurship. And we began funding different programs and different charities that had their own programs in place to educate young entrepreneurs. And we began making donations, etc., over the last few years, and got to work with a lot of the high school students and different business plan contests and mentorship opportunities. And on my dream list of the one day, someday, maybe, possibly, there'd be a building that was named after you because of what you did or what you've given back in entrepreneurship. So we are absolutely thrilled to be able to be a part of this, to be able to make the donation. It is a dream come true, decades in advance, and obviously for MCC to step up and to create a program that, when I graduated high school in '97, I didn't know existed anywhere. I remember searching everywhere for a place to study entrepreneurship after I learned about it when I was at GRCC. I was like, well, where can I study it? And I found a graduate program at Pepperdine, and anyone that knows about school costs in this room knows that transferring from Graham Community College to Pepperdine is probably, in Malibu, is probably not very likely. I had never heard of a community college that would offer a program like this. And it's my hat's off to the whole school for stepping up and saying we're going to teach people entrepreneurship, because one of the things that you'll hear from most entrepreneurs that I've ever met, most successful entrepreneurs, is the grand majority of them don't say, I learned it from my 8th grade teacher, or I learned it from my history book, or I learned it from my math class, or I learned it from calculus, or I learned it from, they learn it from a mentor, or they learn it from someone that started a business and passed that knowledge on. And to create a curriculum where people can come in and pass that knowledge on is priceless. It's literally priceless. It'll take who knows how many thousands of kids that will go, a light bulb will go off and go, wow, I didn't know you could do that. I didn't know you could be an entrepreneur, because it wasn't on the checklist of options growing up.